Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Stadium Brats. I'm Chase Kennecke. I am joined by Bobby Pease. Bobby, welcome back to the stadium.
You know me, Chase. I always like a good second helping of bratwurst.
Absolutely. Who doesn't? What was I doing the last time you were on? Do you remember?
You were fighting Pokemon.
Okay, that's great.
With rented Pokemon. And
yeah, that is what we do here.
You were not very high up in the rankings yet. Like we were
we were probably somewhere in the Poke Cup, maybe.
Yeah, we were definitely in that area. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, we've done some stuff here. We've got the Petite Cup done.
I've seen some posts that maybe you've bitten off more of a bratwurst than you can chew a few times.
Sometimes, yeah. The last the Master Ball version of the Poke Cup was pretty tough, and the Pika Cup honestly was surprisingly difficult. But we chilled back out when we got to the Prime Cup Pokeball, and now we're on Prime Cup Great Ball, which I still think should be relatively comfortable. So I'm not too worried.
Chase, I brought some questions this time.
Okay, I don't know if I have answers, but I'll try. What do you got?
First one. Which Pokemon would make the best sausage stuffing for a bratwurst?
Oh God. Man, why are you killing Pokemon, man?
They're here to serve us.
Man, I don't know.
I mean, I think you could say like a Diglett is a pretty obvious choice for a hot dog, right? Like they're the most
sure. I mean, it's
flaccid Pokemon out there. It will work
like straight out of the box. Yeah, that's
that's like, hey, it's 3 a.m. I needed something before I go to bed. I'm going into the meat drawer and grabbing a Diglett and shoving it right down the gullet.
Oh, I bet a Chansey would be
maybe a little fatty meat.
Make some good food here.
Definitely not a Snorlax, but you know what? I could make a Moltres into like a good like Nashville hot chicken sandwich. I bet.
Well, I mean, it's already cooking itself.
Yeah, like that's a pretty easy one there. I bet you a good Charmander. I bet that's a good meat. I bet.
Do you eat a lot of lizard?
I've had gator, just a big lizard.
Close enough. That'll work.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can answer some more of your questions as we go through.
Yeah.
Now we do have to make some choices here on some Pokemon. I think this is still going to be relatively easy enough that we can pick whatever we want. So, Bobby, why don't you tell me a few of your favorite Pokemon from Gen 1, and we'll see if they're any good here.
Let's go with Nidoking.
Okay. Love a good Nidoking.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a bunch of great attacks, but it does have Earthquake, which honestly is the only thing that really matters for here. So I'm fine with a Nidoking.
Okay. Do you want me to pick like one or two more here?
Yeah, give me two more.
Okay. I like a good Zapdos, which I think that I picked that the last time. Can't remember if I did or not.
I don't know. Zapdos, not as good in the Prime Cup. It has a much worse moveset with Thunder and Sky Attack. I'm fine using it. We'll give it a shot. It still has really good stats and some really good typing. So even if it misses a couple times, I think we'll be okay.
And if we go up a little bit, let's go with oh my gosh, why can't I think of the name of it? The Fire Eevee. Why am I slipping so hard? Flareon. Yeah.
Fire Blast is fine. It can miss. Sand Attack can be useful. The other attacks we probably won't. Well, Quick Attack we might use once in a while. Let's go with that. All right, that's a solid 3 to start with. Let's see. I like a Kabutops.
Okay.
It does have an Ice Beam, which is pretty nice. Its special is very bad, so it's not going to do much with that Ice Beam or Hydro Pump.
Sure.
Mega Kick can miss a lot. Swords Dance is great, but it's not going to help our other moves. I still like it. I think we're actually. Let me see what Kabuto does. That's a much better type. That's a much better move list. But I like Kabutops, so we'll try screwing around with Kabutops and see what happens.
Now we're talking.
Let's see. We have Nidoking already, so we don't need a Rhydon. I do like Rhydon though. We don't have a fighting Pokemon.
We don't have anybody
Fighting's usually pretty garbage in Gen 1, but
really,
we might take a Hitmonlee just for fun. There are a lot of normal Pokemon that we might face that could be taken out with that. We don't have a Psychic type.
We do need that, right?
It's nice to have. Kadabra is usually the one that people go with in this game because it's just has a better moveset than Alakazam. Hypno here has Psychic, and Hypnosis and Headbutt. I say we go with Hypno. That sounds fine to me. I think that's a winning team right here. We don't have Grass.
We got Fire though.
We have Fire.
Fuck your Grass.
Yeah, outside of Grass, I don't really see something we're missing that's all that relevant. Yeah, let's try this team. See what happens.
Now we're talking.
Bugs. All right, I think
Are you
Flareon's the
having fun
easy.
with this? Like, has this been something
I
that...
am.
Yeah.
I think this is really cool. It is frustrating, definitely, to see good Pokemon that you go, oh yeah, that's a great Pokemon, and then you look at its move list and go, man, they really screwed this Pokemon over.
Oh no.
But it's also been fun to pick, like off meta Pokemon and see that they're better in Stadium because of the way they've changed. Sure. Stats or moves or things like that. So, normally picking a Zapdos would be like, well, yeah, absolutely, you go with Zapdos. It's got Drill Peck, it's got Thunderbolt, it's got great stats. Like, how would you not pick Zapdos? And then you come here and go, they gave it Thunder and Sky Attack. That's kind of shit.
Yeah.
But you make do, and I think it's been pretty fun. I think the strategy stuff has come in very interestingly as well. Cool. And it's also cool to just bring on a bunch of different friends and see what kind of Pokemon they like and see if they're any good here.
Totally.
Let's take that Flareon first, because it's going to do well against basically everything here. I think Kabutops is going to be pretty good, as even though it doesn't have a rock move, it's still going to not take very much damage from anything, and it's going to deal with that Charmeleon quite well.
Totally.
And then let's see. Even though Bug is good against Psychic, Hypno is still going to do great against the poison part of the Kakuna, the poison part of the Venonat. And it's going to do good damage against everything else. So I think Hypno would be a good one to have as well. You can make an argument for Zapdos. Actually, you can make a real good argument for Zapdos. Why don't we pick Zapdos instead? Flareon, Kabutops, and Zapdos. I think that'll work.
Okay. Let's do it.
Oh yeah, show that butt.
He looks more pink there.
Yeah, again, it feels like the ones that you face as the opponents aren't. Oh, I wouldn't call them shiny exactly, but they do have a bit of a tonal difference. I hate giving up the first attack, but
okay.
It's fire on fire. I'm gonna guess he probably has better normal moves than we do, so I think it makes sense to probably just hard switch into Kabutops, which should hard counter this thing. Water and rock makes him quad ineffective against us with fire attacks.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is going to do barely any damage at all. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's good.
How many more battles do you think you have before this is wrapped up?
So I'm not sure, because I don't remember how the gym castle stuff works.
Okay.
So here we've got for the Prime Cup, we have the Great Ball, which we're doing right now. Then we have the Ultra Ball and the Master Ball difficulties. And once that's done, we're done with the stadium stuff. And then we're into the gym challenge. And I don't know if the gym challenge is similar to this in that you have to go through a group of trainers to beat a gym leader, or if you just go one gym leader after another. So depending on how long that goes,
Right.
I could be almost done, or I could be halfway done. I'm not really sure, and I'm kind of trying to keep myself in the dark on what exactly the gym castle looks like.
Makes sense.
Do not like a special drop, but I think we'll still be okay anyway.
Chase, I have another question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Pokemon is the second best-selling video game franchise behind what?
Man, I would have guessed it was first. Behind, like Minecraft or something.
No, still in the same studio that Pokemon. Well, I guess developer. No, not developer. Publisher.
So Mario.
Yep.
Okay. That makes some sense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I wonder if have there been more Mario games or more Pokemon games at this point.
Let's find out.
I think just to get everybody in, I'm gonna get Zapdos in. Not too worried about a Kakuna, so I think we can do our 2-turn Sky Attack and be just fine.
I thought that would be an easier answer.
Well, I guess it also kind of depends on what you count as a Pokemon game, what you count as a Mario game.
Right.
Do you count Tennis on the NES as a Mario game because he's the official, because he's the umpire?
Yeah.
It's not really playing. It's not really a Mario game, but he's in there.
I mean, Donkey Kong, if that for that same argument, would he be?
Yeah, sure. And is he still Jumpman at that point, or is he Mario?
Man, just tell me how many there are, you cowards. Oh my gosh. How many Mario games are there? Okay, let's see if this tells me. Oh my god, there's over 200 games. And, I mean,
I believe it.
That's like sub-series, including Mario Golf, Kart, Party, Tennis, all that stuff. Well, yeah. So
now, do you think there'd be more Pokemon games?
No.
They do put out multiple Pokemon games per generation. Like you get Scarlet and Violet on there. You have like the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. You have like Pokemon Rumble, Pokemon Puzzle League. They made a lot of fucking Pokemon games.
How many total Pokemon games?
Hey You Pikachu, that classic, also on the Nintendo 64.
Mainline grand total. Here we go. With that in mind, there's 137 Pokemon games.
Okay, so it's on its way.
Yeah, it's on its way for sure. And that was one of the questions asked: has Pokemon eclipsed Mario in popularity? And I think that's a really interesting conversation to have.
Yeah, I mean, there is the thing about like the most successful media franchise. You take away the game part of it, and you just go on to movies and merchandise and shit like that. And Pokemon has it and everything else beat. It's like Pokemon and Hello Kitty are up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. All right, we've got a decent team here. A lot of poison types, so I think Nidoking and Hypno probably both need to be on this team. I don't know what leads, though, because I'm worried that if we bring out Nidoking, he's going to do pretty poorly against Hypno and Poliwhirl.
Sure.
So we could bring our own Hypno. I think that's what we're going to do. I think we'll start with Hypno. We'll bring Nidoking, and then I guess Kabutops is probably still pretty useful here. Zapdos is probably still fine. Let's go with Kabutops. These do appear to be shinies for this.
Interesting.
These enemies that we're facing.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a pretty green Sandshrew right there.
Very green. Chase, how many Squirtles were in the Squirtle squad?
Oh, Jesus. 7.
5.
Damn.
Yeah, I've got a few more in the chamber here for you.
Okay. I do remember when Pokemon Go was like, hey, we brought out the Squirtle squad.
Dude, don't
like,
even get me.
Here are these Squirtles with sunglasses, and you're like, those are not the Squirtle squad sunglasses.
They're not even the cool
just
ones.
Aviators.
They're not even. Yeah, they're just aviators.
I mean, I like aviators. I wear aviators all the time, but those are not the Squirtle squad glasses. What are you doing?
No, don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining. We know what's going on here.
They did a similar thing when they're like, oh, it's the movie Mewtwo, where it was like the armored Mewtwo, and it's not the armor from the movie. It's not the same.
No, assuredly not.
Yeah.
I think in all of gaming, everything about video games out there, culture, all of it, I think the leader Squirtle of the Squirtle squad with the pointed sunglasses is one of the coolest, if not the coolest things ever.
It's pretty great. It's pretty tough to beat.
It's so hard to beat. I would say it is one of the biggest upgrades a video game character has ever got.
So I'm a Charmander guy. I pick Charmander as my first starter. I would pick Charmander every day, every single day over Squirtle and Bulbasaur. And yet those Squirtle squad sunglasses made me go, Squirtle's pretty cool. And hey, I don't have a problem with Bulbasaur either, but Bulbasaur is the clear third of that group, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Actually, let's see if there is. Oh, well, Chase, you've picked the most popular.
I believe it. Everybody likes Charizard.
Charmander is the most popular Pokemon starter due to its iconic design. Now, do you think that if they threw Pikachu in the mix, would Charmander outperform popularity-wise Pikachu?
I think they did this poll not too long ago, and yeah, I do think Pikachu wins just based on being iconic and people like Pikachu.
Do you think that starters have gotten better as the series have progressed, or have gotten worse?
Man, that's tough. I mean, this is going to make me sound like a Gen 1er, of course, but I mean, I think those first three are perfect.
They are. They are some of the best designed video game characters of all time.
Yeah, it's just straight pure design wise. Like when you get into their move sets and things like that, I get that they're a little weaker in that form. I do like how eventually they got into the idea that all starters need to end up as dual types. Like maybe they can start as fire, grass, water, but eventually they will get a second typing attached to them. I really like the God, I always forget which grass starters belong to which, but the Gen 4, which is the
Gen 4 starters.
Yeah, which is the Fire Monkey, who's Chimchar. And then there's Piplup. Yeah, and then
Turtwig.
Yes. I think all of those are very good. I think design-wise, I'm a little less impressed by the way they look. But just the idea that Infernape is firefighting, Empoleon is water steel, and Torterra is ground and grass. I think that's just a really cool way of doing things.
Tough, you're gonna get fucked up by them for sure.
Yeah, here are these really interesting dual typings that they all have.
I do think that they've overstayed their welcome with firefighting, though.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. You have Blaziken, you have Emboar. And you have Infernape. And it's like
Scorbunny too, right?
Scorbunny, yeah, you're right. It's like, man, you've really gone to that well a handful of times. Like you could try something else. All right, we've got 2 electric types, 3 fighting types, and a ground type here. I think this is probably Nidoking's time to shine. It's going to do fine against all these Pokemon. Zapdos is going to help us out against the ground and the fighting types, so it's going to be useful as well. And then I think Hypno as just a hard counter to those fighting types. That should be That should be a winning formula.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
God, Nidoking's so good.
Nidoking's very good. Very, very, very good.
Bobby, did you know that Nidoking is the MVP when it comes to Gen 1 speedrunning?
I don't think I knew that.
So at one point, it was Squirtle, because people were just like, oh, you pick Squirtle as your starter, you only use Squirtle, you level it up as fast as you can, it gets some good moves, it gets some good stats, it can solo the game, and it's the best one for speedrunning. And then people realized, hey, wait a minute, you can catch a Nidoran male on, like, just to the west of Viridian City.
Oh, shit.
And you can get it upgraded to Nidorino pretty quickly, and then you'll find a Moonstone in Mount Moon, so you can get it up to a third stage evolution extremely quickly. And once you've done that, it also has an incredible moveset and incredible stats really early, and it solos the game better than a Blastoise can.
Interesting.
And so now it is the preferred. It is the preferred. That critical hit, Boomerang,
damn.
Not great. I suppose I should have switched out anyway, but I thought he could have done it. Anyway, so now Nidoking is the preferred speedrunner, the glitchless speedrunner. I think when you start adding glitches back into Gen 1, you can basically do anything with anybody, because it's that game's busted in many ways. But if you're playing the game properly with a speedrun, Nidoking is the one to use.
Chase, do you know what the very first designed Pokemon was?
I do. It was Rhydon.
It was Rhydon. Nice. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rhydon, Clefairy or Clefable, one of those two, was a really early one as well. And I think Gengar might have also been a really early Pokemon.
So what about this one? How many types of Pokemon are there?
You mean like electric, fire, that kind of stuff? It's 16 or 17.
You're close. 18.
18?
18. I don't know what they are. I don't have them listed in front of me, but...
Well, I mean, the last one they added was fairy type, so that was Gen 6? Gen 6?
Do you think that are they done adding types, you think?
That's a good question. I could see eventually them adding another type. I don't think it's all that necessary. Even adding fairy type didn't seem all that necessary. I think you could have just buffed ice types, because the reason you brought in fairy is that, oh god, we've made dragons so fucking strong at this point.
We got to take them down.
You gotta do something to hard counter them. But ice type Pokemon just have so many weaknesses to rock, to fighting, to fire, to steel, to like there's so many things that take out an ice type, and that just like it's so hard to make. Like everybody wants ice type moves, but they don't want an ice type Pokemon. It's like give me an ice beam on a Tentacruel or something like that, rather than using like a Dugong or something. So they had to bring in fairy types to try to rein that in and to be that hard counter. And I think fairy's fine. It's still the one I mess up the most of. Oh, is fighting strong against fairy? It feels like it should be, but like, oh wait, it's less effective. And steel types are super effective against fairy. Poison, I think, is super effective against fairy. But a lot of like the off, like what's super effective, but what might be not so effective, like is what's fire do against fairy, what's rock do, like some of these you're just like, I can't keep some of that shit straight.
It's a lot.
Okay, we've got a couple waters, we got a fire, a poison, a rock, and a Clefairy there. I think it's time to get Hitmonlee in there. It's the only one we haven't featured so far. It'll do great against the Graveler and the Clefairy, and it could do okay against basically everything except the Nidorino.
Sure.
I think we need Zapdos for those water Pokemon.
That would be very handy.
And then I think the question is either Nidoking or Hypno here. Nidoking will do fine against the Graveler and the Nidorino, and the Ponyta. Hypno will be fine against everything, but not necessarily good against everything. Yeah, let's take the Hypno.
I think that works.
Yeah.
Chase, do you think what Pokemon do you think suffered either aesthetically or functionally by their evolution the most?
It might honestly be Rhydon. Rhydon is such a cool Pokemon, and then in Gen 4, they gave it an evolution into Rhyperior.
Yep.
And Rhyperior's just got too many things on it.
Yeah, it's got too much fucking shit on me.
Yeah, all those orange elements. Its arms are kind of cannons. Like it's got holes in its hands where you're like, what are those supposed to be? It's short and squat. It's just Rhydon was so cool, and then they kind of fucked it up with Rhyperior. Yeah, I think that's probably my number one. I think there's a lot of Mega Evolution too that you just go, man, these. I like the idea of Mega Evolution, but all these guys look like shit. Mega
100%.
Aggron. If you want to look up Mega Aggron, you just go, what did they do to this thing?
I know.
Why would you do that? Same with the Tyranitar. It's like you just threw a bunch of extra pointy spikes on it. There are some Mega Evolutions I really, really like. I think Mega Charizard X, the one that gives it the Dragon typing and makes it blue and black.
Like the black, yeah.
That's rad.
Big time.
I like Mega Mewtwo Y, where it's kind of like an in-between Mew and Mewtwo.
Yep.
I think that design's really cool. I really like Mega Kangaskhan, which they didn't really do anything to Kangaskhan. It's just that the kid comes out of the pouch and is like, I'm ready to fight too.
Yeah, let me in.
I think that's rad. Mega Ampharos, where it just gets that big mane of hair, looks great. But for every one that looks really good, there's another one that you're like, come on, what are you doing here? Why'd you like Mega Absol? What the fuck are you doing? Why'd you put big fairy wings on it?
You have a magic wand, pie in the sky, no rules. You can do whatever you want to do. You get to create your own regional variant of any Pokemon. What Pokemon are you doing, and what is the regional variant?
I would like to see them do something with Dragonite. That's a Pokemon they haven't gone back to.
How do you perfect perfection, Chase?
It's a fair point. But that's a Pokemon that didn't get a Mega Evolution. It didn't get it hasn't gotten a regional variant yet. It hasn't gotten a Gigantamax form. I think you could do something cool with Dragonite. And I do like the idea. I think regional variants is probably the coolest thing you could do.
Yeah.
And giving it a new typing. I'd like to see it lose flying, so it'd be less vulnerable to ice moves, because now it's like quad weak to ice. But so you keep it as a dragon, but then maybe you make it Dragon Fairy, something like that, where it would be a weird typing. It's already kind of a cute Pokemon. So you give it a little fairy typing. I think there is a Dragon Fairy out there. I just don't remember what it is.
Dragon. There is. I know. What the fuck is it? Hang on. Let me pull it up. I know what you're talking about. Let's see here. Dragon Fairy Pokemon. Is that Altaria? Right?
Did they change Altaria into a Dragon Fairy, or is that its Mega?
Oh, that's
there's a Mega, yeah. Or you go the opposite way and you go, let's take this cute Pokemon and let's make it a lot less cute, and you make it Dragon Dark. Which there are a Mega Gyarados, I believe, is Dragon Dark, or maybe it's Water Dark. But there's I think that would also be pretty cool if we made like the shadow Dragonite, and that looks pretty rad. I also, speaking of shadow Pokemon, I would like to see them go back to Lugia. There's that Shadow Lugia in XD Gale of Darkness, a game I haven't played that I would like to try sometime. But having some kind of Shadow Lugia as a regional variant would be pretty cool sometime. Okay, we've got water and grass. So Zapdos, I think, is going to be able to solo this whole thing. We'll also take Flareon and Hypno just as some backup. Bobby, I'm gonna turn that question back on you. Is there a Pokemon you'd like to see a regional variant of?
Honestly, man, like I was kind of inspired by that question by a post I saw the other day that they remixed. They didn't say what region, but they did the 3 starters. And while I kind of like them being pure, I would like to see something with them. I don't know if that's a cheap answer. If I'm being more specific, I would see a God damn it! Why did I just lose his name? He's a steel type. He gets real big in armory. Has blue eyes.
Is that Aggron?
Aggron, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Aggron would be a cool one.
Yeah, I could see that. That could be cool. There's a Pokemon fan game that I've been following that's still in development, slowly in development, but in development. It's called Pokemon Red 2. There's a demo out for it right now, but it has starters that they're not exactly regional variants, but the idea is that Pokemon have continued to kind of change and evolve over time. So I can't remember what the types are, but they also have, the Pikachu is psychic now, and some things have gained typings or changed typings in different ways.
Nice.
So that might also kind of fit in your idea of it'd be cool to do something with those original Kanto starters.
Totally. I think I like Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. I thought that was a cool reimagining of the original games, but I've been seeing some really cool like fan art of almost like a water painting. And I even think that like the new animated show on Netflix that you were talking about the other day.
Yeah,
like,
Pokemon Concierge.
Yeah, like I'm like, keep the mechanics the same. You don't have to like do the gimmicky like Pokemon Go stuff. Like, just give me a good like give me a Link's Awakening, but Pokemon Red or Blue. Like, I would love that.
Sure, that'd be cool. Yeah, you talked about that watercolor style. I think I've seen that too, where it's kind of taking that original Ken Sugimori art from that you'd see in like strategy guides and things like that, and it extracted it to a full game world. Yep. And it looks so good. That's a really cool looking thing. It'd be great to see them try that. But yeah, I also really like the aesthetic of the Let's Go games. I thought that was a cool way of looking back at. God, this thing put me to sleep 3 times. And it sucks because the only move that's going to be good against it takes 2 turns to do.
They ain't fucking around with you.
Yeah, it's also upgraded its special so much that even if we brought in Flareon, I don't think our Fire Blast is doing all that much. So this Sky Attack has got to be our move. Wait, it didn't let me choose a move. Maybe it's still going ahead with the Sky Attack?
Is it going to do it?
I guess so. That's cool. I didn't know it did that.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, I really like the aesthetic of the Let's Go games. I would like to see them do a Let's Go Silver and Gold.
Honestly, man, I'm surprised nothing more's come of that. I thought that was kind of we're doing this now.
Yeah, I think part of it is just Pokemon Go. It has, I don't know if it's, I mean, hey, I don't know. It could be the biggest game on Earth still, and I just don't know. But I know you and I have both fallen off that game.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that we used to play that with or talk about it with, they've stopped playing it. I think they've added all the Pokemon into Pokemon Go at this point, but to make another game that is kind of based around Pokemon Go, or at least integrates with Pokemon Go like the Let's Go games did, I think that might be a bit of a harder sell, which is unfortunate because, again, I really like the look of those games. Mechanically, I think they had some issues. I still wish you could just play that game with a controller, and it's wild that you can't when it's on a TV. You can do it if it's in handheld mode. It's like, well, then just let me use my Pro Controller when it's on the television. That's how I want to play this game. That's insane. Insane.
Yep, I agree. And I think that, I mean, I really feel like the pandemic killed Let's Go. Like, it was having issues before the pandemic. Like, they were trying some stuff in 2019 that I didn't think worked well with like raid mechanics and like how you would do that stuff. But ultimately, that game just really suffered and hasn't bounced back. Which, maybe it will. Maybe. I also think that critically, and this is maybe a controversial take, but I don't think that some of the more recent Pokemon games, the last two mainline Pokemon games,
that is not a controversial take.
Okay.
many people feel that way.
Okay. Well, with that being said, I just think that this, like, hey, there's a new Pokemon game out, we're going to start to sprinkle in new Pokemon into Let's Go, or I'm starting to go. Yeah. It's just like, what's the fucking point? Like, I don't care about this. So,
Game Freak is in a really tough spot. And it's so easy to go, oh, well, obviously they just lost the thread. But the thread is so hard to find at this point. Yep. It's really unfair. Because on one hand, so I was just, last night I was watching a video essay on Pokemon X and Y by a YouTuber called King K, who I don't love his stuff, but he does these long retrospectives, and I'm a sucker for long retrospectives, which is why I had all that Mega Evolution stuff on hand, because he was talking about that. But X and Y was such a weird game at the time. It was a really popular generation of Pokemon, and a lot of people came back to X and Y or started with X and Y. And it's because that's the generation where they went to 3D.
Yep.
And they went to these 3D models, and you had a lot of people look at that game and go, oh, Pokemon needed this. Because, we've seen these sprites so many times, and we're just tired of it. Pokemon needs to change and be different. And that was the first time that Pokemon really looked different.
Yep. To
the point where I think a lot of people went, oh, this is the one. But the game itself was not so great. It was just kind of weak. Man. And Pokemon lost a lot of its style going to 3D. This game, I've talked about this on the show as well. Like Pokemon Stadium right here, you see these Pokemon have a lot of personality still in their animations and things. And you don't get that as much in the more modern Pokemon games. And part of that reason is because they only had to do 151 here. So you can kind of up how cool these animations look, because you don't have to do as many. You have to do a lot when it's it was at X and Y, it was still like plus 700 at that point. And you're like, you want to have 700 unique animations, but it's not just 700 unique animations, because you have to have attack animations. They would have a different animation for a special attack versus a physical attack. What's the animation when they fall in battle? What's their idle animation? What's their animation when they come into a battle? And when you multiply that by 715 or whatever the fuck, goddamn, how are you supposed to ever make that shit?
I've got some thoughts on that topic though. And again, I'm gonna backseat develop here a bit, but you've got a game that the formula has not changed in 30 years. It's the same fucking shit. You're going to have all that's pretty much there. Now, I understand that there's, almost 2,000 Pokemon now? Something crazy like that, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't think it's that high. There's over 1,000, but I don't think it's over 2.
Oh, it was like 1,000, because it was the gold thing from the last one.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Goldango.
There's 1,017 Pokemon, so I was off by quite a bit. That's a lot of Pokemon to
It is a lot of Pokemon.
emote and do shit with. The last few games has not put all of those Pokemon into the game at launch.
Right. They started going, hey, this is too ridiculous. We can't possibly do this anymore.
But if you have Pokemon in all these games that you can sprinkle in, if you have a situation where, hey, we're going to bring in a couple hundred, I also see this studio doing a few things. I see them putting an absurd amount of care and effort into Smash Brothers, into Mario Kart. They know what like butters their bread, of course. But
well, that's Nintendo.
Yeah, I understand.
So
that.
I mean, it is important to also understand that Game Freak and the Pokemon Company are separate from Nintendo. Nintendo has like a stake in the Pokemon Company. Pokemon is a Nintendo franchise, but it is Nintendo doesn't get to make every decision about Pokemon.
They don't get to make the decision, but they absolutely could do some quality inspection there. And I've seen other games from much less than studios putting out games that do not have 1,000 creatures in them, but there's a lot in the games that each have unique animations, idle personality, and I feel like I'm at a point now with Pokemon that I would gladly welcome quality over quantity when it comes to what they do.
I don't disagree at all, but there are still business realities that you have to worry about, which is one of the things. I mean, this is why they're in such a tough spot, because yes, you're the biggest media franchise in the world. You have all the money in the world. You could make a Pokemon game, and you could take as much time as you want, right?
Yeah.
The problem is you can't, because even though the mainline games are the most important thing for a Pokemon game, they're not necessarily the things that make the most money, because that ties into card games and merchandise and anime and all this other stuff that goes in to Pokemon, and those things are not going to wait for you to develop a better game. There has to be a new Pokemon game that comes out every year, every 2 years, because the media market machine that you have won't allow you to take a break. And that's why they're in a really tough spot. So even though you have all the money and resources in the world available to you, you have to put the thing out, because so many other money men are going, well, everything that we're about to do is based on the thing that you're doing. So we can't give you a better timeline because we need this fucking now.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's a real bummer. I hate that it's that way. I wish that they would be able to take more time and think about how they want to build one of these games. Also, this thing having substitute fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch to Hypno. And so it makes it really difficult. And you have people who continue to say, well, I just want something new. I want something new. So you have Game Freak trying to do something new, but also, not having the time to necessarily do it. So you get something that's sounds ambitious, like, oh, we're making the next Pokemon game open world, which what Scarlet and Violet did. But then also, it didn't really feel like it had the time to make it right, to build it in the way that people really wanted it to be built. And that's you're always going to get that with Game Freak because of their timelines, and that sucks. Like, somebody wanted it to go 3D, and so it went 3D, but going 3D, you're still in the same timeline, so you have to build all this new shit. And you can't make the game as good because you have to spend so much time building the assets, which is why I'm over here, as we've talked on our podcast, The Casual Hour, that we do together, about how I'm much more interested these days in Pokemon ROM hacks. And that's because those games are built on assets that you've already seen with Pokemon. It's taking those familiar sprites, but I feel like they're doing interesting things with the game, with the gameplay part of it. And I'm finding much more enjoyment out of out of experiencing those things and seeing the way people play in the limitations that they have, rather than the Game Freak way of, well, we got to do something really ambitious, but we also need to do it fucking now.
Well, and I also think that we've talked about this on our show too. You know, we're all in our 30s, damn near 40s at this point. Well, not all of us, but some of us in the show. And we've grown up playing games, and there's people that have grown up with us that have gone on to make games. And we've seen a lot of those people that grew up heavily influenced by things like Pokemon, early Nintendo days, even, you know, GoldenEye, other entries, of course, making their own. Hey, if Nintendo ain't going to do it, we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to do it. And I think much like the ROM community that you're referencing, we've seen Pokemon clones go from, I'd rather just play Pokemon, to, you know, actually, like, there's some cool stuff doing here that I wish Pokemon would pick up on. And while I will always, I've not always, I should say, but so far I've found the Pokemon designs to be far better overall than some of the other, you know, little guys that get created.
Yeah, I get you.
But I think that we're seeing some really cool stuff happen in this space, and I think Nintendo was onto something with Legends. I would love to see them do more of that. But I don't know. Like, I want to continue to love Pokemon like I do today, and I was pretty hot on Sword and Shield when it came out. I definitely cooled on it. I did not like I think I've actively disliked a lot of Scarlet Violet when it came out, and I'm very curious to see, with new Switch hardware rumored in 2024. I don't think, you know, we just got an awesome kick-ass Mario game. We just got an awesome kick-ass Zelda game. I've been thinking a lot about what could they put out with it. They're not going to put out Mario Kart at launch. They've got a few little things of remakes already kind of rumored for this year. I kind of think that Pokemon makes the most sense to be a big thing to launch on your next Switch. And I think that they could definitely do something pretty cool with that power and some of the stuff we've talked about that they were panned over for Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, I would love to see them be on new hardware, get a fresh start, try something new, and also get them the time enough to really build upon that. I think that'd be great. Yep. I just don't have as much trust in Game Freak to do that, or to be given that opportunity anymore. Which is a bummer.
Do you think somebody else would do it? Do you think there's anybody else that could do Pokemon better than Game Freak right now?
I don't. That's tough. I feel like if you had the developers of something like Cassette Beast, or what are some of the other ones that
Temtem,
you liked? Temtem, Coromon. That's definitely the one I was thinking. If you had those developers given keys to the castle, in the same way that you had like Sonic Mania back in a few years ago, where it's like, okay, we're Sega, we know you guys can do this thing. We're gonna give you the keys to this franchise, and we're gonna let you build a Sonic game. And it was made with passion. It was made with interesting innovations. And it turned out to be a really cool game that then Sega fucked up and didn't let them make more.
That's true.
But I think if you could get, if Game Freak was out there, or the Pokemon Company more specifically, said, okay, we're going to let Game Freak work on a different thing right now. Work on Pocket Card Jockey 2 or whatever the fuck. We're gonna let them work on this thing and not worry about Pokemon, or even we're gonna let them work on the next generation of Pokemon. And we're gonna give the Coromon people the opportunity to build a Pokemon game, and we're just gonna see what they do with it and be fine with it. I think that'd be rad. I don't think it's ever going to happen because, again, it's the biggest media franchise in the world. You don't just give those keys to somebody else to potentially fuck up, even if you and I think they're going to be doing a better job with it.
Yeah, man. Like look, I'm not going to rule out anybody making this shit. I want to see what they do with it. How are we doing on here, Chase? We're getting to the where are we at on your cup pursuit?
We did it. We just won.
You won all the cups.
I did. Yeah. We didn't have to worry about the strategy too much in this one. Again, this is just the Great Ball Cup. I wasn't too worried about it. I think once we get to Ultra Ball and especially Master Ball in the next episodes, gonna have to cut down on the
chatter.
On the chat and get more into the strategy. But I'm super happy you were here to be able to ask some questions and help with this, because it would have been kind of boring if we didn't.
Yeah, man. Like, look, I know I went off the rails a bit on stuff we were talking about, but
no,
hey,
I appreciated it.
We had some good stuff to discuss with Pokemon and where it's at and where we want it to go, and it's one that we all love on the show. That we get to do outside of what you got going on here. It's a really cool conversation that's been going on for, well, between the three of us since 2016.
Mm-hmm. So before we end this thing, we got to go back to the Kids Club. I believe last time I said that I'd played all of these, and that is definitely not true. I hadn't even done enough episodes to have done all of these.
Oh, okay.
I just forgot which ones I'd done already. So I've done Cliff Harry Says, I've done Run Rattata Run, Sushi Go Round, I believe I've done Thundering Dynamo. I've definitely done Snore, which I fucking hate. But I don't think I've done Magikarp Splash or Ekans Hoop Whirl. I think I've done these two as well. So your choice, Bobby. Ekans or Magikarp?
Magikarp.
Okay. I will say this is the less fun of the two, but that's fine.
Good. Let's get it out of the way.
Basically, we're just jumping and trying to hit the counter. They made a whole mobile game that's basically this.
It's Magikarp Jump. Yeah.
Yeah, Magikarp Jump, where you raise a Magikarp. That was a fun, stupid little thing that I played for a while.
100%. Jump, baby.
Ugh. So you have to hold the A button enough to hit the counter, but you can't just mash it, because if you don't hit it hard enough, it's not going to get all the way up to the counter. That computer on the right is
coming for you.
I think I got him. Yeah, all right. Felt good about that. Just have to get the timing on that one.
I did see that Magikarp is going to be making its Pokemon Unite debut.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
How do you do that?
I don't know. But yeah, it's coming.
I guess it will eventually evolve to a Gyarados and it'll be fine, but that's gonna suck for a while. It's gonna suck
for a while. You got that right.
I haven't even thought about Pokemon Unite in a long time.
I know. We should ask Pierce about it.
Yeah. That was Magikarp Jump. Magikarp, what a great Pokemon design that is. That would also be a fun regional variant. Do a regional Magikarp and a regional Gyarados. Yeah, I guess the only problem is that you kind of already have that with Feebas and Melodic, or Milotic, however people pronounce it, because Feebas really does just look like a different Magikarp. Yeah. All right. We've done it. We only have 2 more trophies to get here in the Prime Cup, and then we are done with the stadium, and we go to the Gym Leader Castle, which has stuff. I think you fight a Mewtwo at the end of it. But
spicy.
That's for another day. Bobby, thank you so much for coming on. Do you want to tell the folks a little bit more about the Casual Hour and where they can find some of the stuff that we do together?
Chase and I make up 2/3 of the Casual Hour. We get together 3 times a week on Twitch, YouTube, and Kick to tell you about games that we like and to show you those games that we like by playing them. Chase and I do quick looks. You can find that on our YouTube channel at the Casual Hour, on all social, on all streaming services. Gets you what you're looking for. Also, Linktree/Casual Hour. We've been doing it since 2016, as we teased earlier. We had a great time. Just did all of our Game of the Year stuff. Go check it out. We enjoy any support you can give us.
Excellent. And yeah, as for me, I've got plenty of other stuff here on the channel that you can go back and watch. You can watch all the stuff that I've done for Stadium Brats. If you like Pokemon, our third co-host of the Casual Hour with us, Johnny Amazich, he and I did a Nuzlocke of Pokemon Shining Pearl when that was or Brilliant Diamond. I think it was Shining Pearl when those games were new. And while those games were kind of disappointing generally, it was really fun doing a Nuzlocke with him. I've played a game everybody loves, Super Robot Wars X, on the show. I love that game.
Woof.
It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I like it. Steamworld Heist, plenty of stuff on the channel. And if you want to read some stuff, I did a thing last year in 2023 called Backlog Roulette, where every month I would spin a big wheel, and whatever game it landed on, I would have to give a try, and I would have to write something about it at the end of the month. And I did that for 12 full months. So there are 12 articles that you can read at gamersonthego.com and see my GOTG reviews of each of those games. Some really cool ones like The Last Guardian, some ones that are a little less cool, like Mutant Year Zero, which I ended up not loving as much. But it was really cool to just try a bunch of games that have always been on my backlog, and that there was this analysis paralysis of, will I ever finish these games or get to these games? And it was nice to have a thing that kind of forced me to do that. So that was cool. I'm going to keep doing it in 2024. I don't know if I'm going to do the writing as much, but I'm definitely going to still do that. We do those wheel spins on the episodes of the Casual Hour. So if you want to see the spins happen in real time, watch our monthly previews. Those show up once each month, around the end of the last month or the beginning of the next month. You can check those out, as Bobby said, twitch.tv/the Casual Hour, to go find those. Bobby, thank you so much for being with me. I appreciate you being here the second time. You're my only 2-time guest for Stadium Brats so far.
The guests are nice. They had them twice.
Yeah, well, hey, you brought games and discussion points, so you did your homework, and I appreciate that.
I was ready to go.
All right. Well, this has been a great episode of Stadium Brats. I will catch you later for the next one as we continue in the Prime Cup Ultra Ball. Until then, see ya.